Hello and welcome back. We are back for another fireside chat. We have taken a couple of weeks off and we are back again. My name is Julie Hollinger and I am the programs manager for the PMFRC. Welcome to the fireside chats. If you are new to our page or new to this feature, it's something that we introduced at the beginning of March. We missed all of your faces, and because we didn't have a chance to talk with you and let you know about the things that were happening at the PMFRC in person, we created the fireside chat as a way to connect with you once a week and maybe come to visit you since you couldn't come to visit us. I'm going to introduce the folks that are on the call in 1 second, but before we go on, I did want to let you know, as we go through, we will be talking about some of the programs that we have, and we may be referring to different events that were happening or sharing telephone numbers and email addresses. For your convenience, we are adding all of those things to the chat underneath. So if anybody talks about their telephone number or gives their email address, don't worry if you didn't get it right away. Check the comment section afterwards, and that'll give you a chance to find everything in one spot. Also, if as these lovely ladies are speaking, you have a question that pops into your mind, add them to the chat section. We do have someone who's watching the chat, and we will get to all those questions at the very end. So if there's something you want to ask us, let us know. Today, we are talking about private home daycare. It is one of the children's services programs that's offered by the PMFRC. And I am joined today by Claudia Beswick, who's the executive director at the PMFRC, by Angie Daber-Roggie. She is the coordinate. You're helping me. Your title just changed, Andy. Can you help me with your title?
Yes, I can. It is the Family Care
Emergency Family Care Coordinator.
So for those of you who haven't noticed, Angie has a new title, and that's what it is. And Sue Leclair, who's the Children's Services Manager. Thank you all for joining us. We have a tradition with the fireside chats that we start off by asking what's new at the PMFRC and what is open and what's closing. And I'm going to throw to you, Claudia. Can you give us an update of what's new?
Sure, absolutely. So as you mentioned, we've been closed. It's been 2 weeks actually since the last update. Not much has really changed in that time. But for those that don't know, we're open to the public at 2 locations, here in our North Side office on Regal Buto Avenue, and our Employment Services office in Petawawa. Our office hours are between 8 and 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. And unfortunately, we're not in a place right now where we are able to open for extended hours beyond that, but it's definitely something that we're tracking. We know we've been asked about that, and we'll look to see how we can accommodate that in the future. For Morale Mail, that's been going really well. The last 2 weeks, we had about 36 parcels that have been sent out. And a huge thank you to Garrison Petawawa for working for us to be able to resume this service, because we know it's hugely important to families. So that's been going really, really well. Just as a reminder about the parcels, that if you want to drop off your parcels, they should be ready to go with the labels attached. You can bring them to the North Side office by 3:30 on Thursdays, and then they would go out the following week. And if anyone has any questions about the parcels, sorry, if you need wrapping paper, labels, any of the mailing addresses, just reach out to the deployment team and they'd be more than happy to provide that information for you. We're also continuing with our virtual programming. We have a bunch of new stuff planned out for the fall. Pretty cool and exciting things coming up, so stay tuned for more information on that. We have, with regards to the daycare, we have our 2 full-time daycares open right now, as well as our private home daycares. And those staff have been staying connected with the families. So far, everything has been pretty positive, and everyone's getting into the new routines, following all the new processes and procedures. We're currently working on the reopening of the before and after school programs, of which we have 1 in Valor, 1 in Our Lady of Sorrows, and with Little Trooper South. So no firm opening date, but we hope to have that all formalized very soon in the near future. With regards to our other daycare programs, Casual Care, and our preschool program, which is Kitty College, we're developing plans right now on what the potential opening will look like for them and how they would align with all the ministry and health agency regulations that are required. I'd like to take a minute to welcome any new to Petawawa families. We have a lot to offer, and I encourage you to reach out to our information services team, which will be part of the information in the comments section. You're welcome to have a virtual welcome session. We share all sorts of resources, information, contact numbers, and we're here to answer any questions, any stuff that you are looking for. We'd be happy to help out. We also have a welcome package, so please don't hesitate to reach out to the team. And all of that information on how to do that will be in the comment section. As always, because I do this every time I'm here, we continue to try and keep the families informed and engaged. There's many avenues for people to reach out to us, whether on the CAF Connection website, on the feedback link, phone, email, Facebook, Messenger, you name it. We want to hear from you, so let us know how we're doing. We're committed in our mandate to support our military community. We're rich in resources with qualified, dedicated staff, but really fundamentally, the input and feedback that we get from our families is really valuable, and it goes a long way in helping us to grow and develop the programs and services to meet all the needs. And that's it for this week.
Perfect. So if you've got feedback that you would like to send, that goes directly to Claudia. So you can feel free to let her know about some of the ideas and suggestions that you have, particularly some of the new families that might have moved to the area who have been from another MFRC, and there's programs and services that you saw there that worked really well. We are not too proud to take suggestions. We would love to hear about it and see if it's something that would work in Petawawa. There's a link below in the comments where you can share that online. The other thing that Claudia talked about was morale mail. If you were looking for more information about morale mail, go to our website, cafconnection.ca. There's little promo buttons underneath, and one of them is a picture of a package. It's got all the morale mail information there. So if you want to know about the size of packages, how to wrap them, what kind of forms you need, what the addresses are, all of that is in one spot for you if you need that. Sue, Claudia was talking about the opening process and some of the changes that have been made. I imagine for a lot of the kids who are coming back to our children's services programs, they're noticing a lot of changes in the way things happened. I mean, we are thrilled to have them all back, but I think for some of them, there's a lot of changes for little people. Can you talk about some of those changes that have happened and how it might look a little bit different for families so they can be aware of that ahead of time, and maybe some things you may want them to consider before they come back, if they haven't already come back?
Sure. So first of all, I really want to thank the families for choosing us, our child care programs. You know, it really says a lot that they've entrusted us. We are operating in an outbreak management style, and that really shows their faith in our child care programs, that they've entrusted us to care for their children. So there are a lot of changes, and families have been extremely patient with us. And for that, we're so appreciative. So the first big thing that families would notice is we really have to be careful with drop-off and pickup times. So we have staggered drop-off and pickup times for social distancing purposes. So families are given a time that can work relatively closely to their work schedule of when they can drop off and pick up their child, to eliminate large gatherings in the entranceways. And there's a screening process. So parents are asked, you know, the screening questions. Temperatures are taken of the children and parents. And one of the biggest adjustments is then the children are taken into the daycares and private homes, and parents aren't actually going into the building. So they say goodbye outside at the screening area, and the children join their educators and their friends for their fun days. We try to keep open communication through story parks. So because the staff don't have that opportunity to chat during drop off and pickup times, we're using our Story Park app to relay messages, share pictures, share videos, to keep that communication open between the parents and caregivers. The other noticeable change, and it will be changing again September 1st, is currently staff who are screening are wearing full PPE, so masks, shields, gowns. As of September 1st, all childcare staff will be wearing masks and shields within their program. So that's another change for the children, but they seem to really be adjusting and adapting well. You know, we've explained social distancing, they're getting it. They know about the starfish, and they'll remind each other, you know, not to get too close. They're really good at sharing their toys and handing it over to educators when it needs to be cleaned. So the children are really adjusting well. The staff have been doing enhanced cleaning protocols, so there's a lot less cleaning. Although nobody can actually come in our programs, they do look different. We've taken out a lot of our natural environments and put things that are easily disinfected, and, you know, still provide that cognitive and play for the children, but there's less material and less toys and equipment out for the children. But it's really enhancing, one thing the staff have noticed, really enhancing their imagination and coming up with different interesting ways to spend their days. So that's really been a great opportunity for both the staff and the children. So those are really our biggest changes, is the screening and the PPE. The other change is that families have to be prepared should a child or a parent fail a screening question, that they have to have a backup plan in place for care for their children. Our goal is to keep, you know, everybody as healthy and safe as possible. So we've put all these practices in place.
Sue, you mentioned starfish. Can you just explain what that is for those folks who who are new?
So the staff at the daycares are doing in their circle times when they're outside a starfish song. So the children know they can pretend to be a starfish, and that lets them know, it gives them that concrete example of when somebody is too close, so that if they can touch somebody when they do the starfish motion, they're too close. So we're trying to teach the whole concept of social distancing while still allowing them to interact and play together.
Sue and I did a video a couple of months ago where we sang the starfish song, and she even convinced me to do the action. So if you're looking for a laugh, you may want to like scroll back through and see if you can find that. Thank you, Sue. It's tough to bring your kid to a new program. It's tough. As a mom, I know how hard it is for parents, and it's a lot of changes, but the staff is just done such an incredible job, and it's just so important to them that everyone is safe, and we appreciate everyone's patience with that. Angie, in addition to the daycare programs, private home daycare is also reopening. Private home daycares, that system is really different than, say, a standard daycare. But as we've learned it for children's services, one size doesn't fit all for families. For some families, a private home works better than a daycare center. Can you talk about what some of the differences are and why some people may choose a private home versus another system?
Sure. So with private home daycare, they can have children from basically 6 weeks to 12 years, depending on what the need is. But people like it because it's a smaller home environment, smaller numbers. They get to really know the children better and the caregiver. So a lot of people tend to lean towards private home daycare. It is, you know, their choice. Some people want to get into the larger daycares, but once they start with private home daycare, they really enjoy it and they tend to stay. It's also a good opportunity for the care providers to stay at home with their own young children. So sometimes it's just a better fit for the family in general. And the nice thing is that we do all the screening. So we do all the background checks, give them all the ministry guidelines that we have to follow because we are under the Ministry of Education. So everything we need to follow comes from them. So there are many steps that we cover, reference checks, all that kind of stuff. And then once the homes are open, the family meets with us and we match them up according to, depending on what time of care they need, maybe location, the age of their child. So we take all that into consideration when we're placing families into the home. And then they have the opportunity to meet with the caregiver ahead of time. We like to give them at least 2 or 3 options. So it's important that the more caregivers we have, obviously, the more options we can give the family. So we're always looking for providers. So if anyone's interested in that, our contact information will be up, but I believe we'll get into that a little later as well. And we do also conduct spot checks, so monthly spot checks, so we can just show up whenever, just to make sure everything is going well. And then we do a detailed quarterly inspection every 3 months. So it's the checklist we go through to make sure everything is being followed. And then just given like all the changes that Sue has mentioned, we can provide support to the caregivers. So if they're having a hard time or need some help with some of the new policies and procedures, we can definitely look into that and support them as well.
It is so overwhelming when you're wanting to make that decision about where you're going to send your child and where they can be safe. And it's nice to know that there are people who are experts in this, who are thinking of these things and have gone through all those lists and are doing those checks that, we as parents want to do, but may not necessarily know how to go about doing that properly. One thing I want to pick up, and I think that I wasn't sure was clear, it is a licensed program, is it not, the private home daycare?
Yes. Yep. So we are licensed through the Ministry of Education. So like I said, that's where all our guidelines come from. And now we're working very closely with the health unit as well. Just with COVID times, we are following both their guidelines. So we're there to support the caregivers when they do need any assistance or meeting the guidelines, make sure they have all their PPE and all the steps that Sue had talked about with screening and all that kind of stuff. We can support them with that.
It takes a very special person to open their home and to have families come in and to sort of take on that role to be a caregiver. Sue, can you talk about some of our caregivers and who they are and why they are such an incredible asset to our team?
Sure. So we're very fortunate. We have a wonderful group of professional providers, and some of them are early childhood educators. Some of them have different types of backgrounds, but it's a great opportunity for the provider to be able to continue their professional practice and provide care within their home, being, they're running their own small business. They are providing care. They're furthering their career as an educator. They're allowing families to be able to choose care with a family home environment. So our care providers are amazing because they're doing it all, right? They're the cooks, they're the cleaners, now they're the screeners, they're the health professional now. So it's really a great opportunity, to rebuild your resume with all those areas of expertise. And being licensed within the PMFRC also allows you to get that extra support, because whether you're a licensed private home provider or a non-licensed private home provider, you still have to follow the same regulations and guidelines. So, we have that support for them to follow those guidelines, follow the domains of development, and it can be a really great educational environment within their home where they get to also interact with their own children. And because it's a family age grouping setting, it's a great opportunity for all the children, because the older children kind of become mentors and role models and helpers for the younger children. The younger children are looking up to the older children or the care provider's children that's in the home. So it really becomes a small group family atmosphere where your child is receiving excellent care from our amazing providers. And, even our providers' families play a big role. So they go through all the screening processes, they develop relationships with the families. So it's a really nice community to belong with.
Thank you, Sue. I know that we talked about the licensing and we talked about all the different changes from the ministry and the health department, and that's a lot to stay on top of when you're looking after little people all day. But you guys, you and Angie are doing that work. You're doing that tracking and passing that information on for caregivers so they can know that they're staying on top of it without having to sort of necessarily do that constant sort of tracking work all the time. And it definitely is a family. When someone looks after your child, they know a lot about you. Mm-hmm. Because kids talk.
And Julie, it also provides the care providers as a professional, they have more opportunities. So, there's different grants you can apply for when you're with a licensed agency, as well as families can access different type of funding for care and support when you're within a licensed agency. So it benefits both.
We always talk about on these calls the fact that we encourage people to call and ask the question. So if you are thinking about daycare and you're not sure what's right for you, when you call us, you don't necessarily have to know what program you want. You can call us and tell us about your family, tell us about your needs. And people like Sue and people like Angie are more than happy to talk to you about the different programs and maybe recommend which one you may want to consider, which would be right for your family. So don't feel that when you call the PMFRC, you have to know exactly what you need for childcare. The team here is fabulous, and they're more than happy to walk you through the various programs and what those advantages are. Angie, if someone is watching and they are interested in opening a private home daycare, maybe this is just a new direction for them. We have a lot of families that are new to Petawawa, and maybe they had a private home daycare in their old community and they're interested in opening back up here, but they don't really know where to start. What are the steps to go through if someone wants to join the private home daycare network?
So the first step is to make contact with me. So you can either email me or call me, and the number and email will be below. And then we will just have a discussion about what where we can start, just talk about the program a little bit, make sure it's something you're interested in. Our capacity is for all of Petawawa and Deep River and Chalk River. So if you're in that location, then we can definitely help you out. Then we will discuss the time to go through the paperwork, get the screening started, help you every step of the way. And it takes about roughly a month, providing everything goes smoothly, to open, just with police background checks and all the other checks we have to do. And also, given COVID times, it might take a little bit longer, but the sooner we can get those checks started, then the sooner we can have you up and running. Because we still do have wait lists, and even as we've been closed, there's been many families posted to the area, so they've been added to the wait list as well. So definitely, we're always looking for providers, and you can have, it really depends, you can have up to 6 children in your home, depending how many of your own you have and the ages of them, and you can have 3 children under 2. So typically in the area, there are a lot of infants looking for care, and they're usually about a year old or so. So it's a great opportunity to provide care for the little ones. And then, you have some old ones, so you have a good mix of children. So definitely, if that is something you're interested in, please connect with me and we can discuss, what works best for you, what ages you're interested in, all that kind of stuff, and get you started on the paperwork. And then we can have you up and running. And then I will contact the families off the wait list. They come in and, well, they will do a Zoom meet with me to do all the paperwork they need to have done. And then we'll refer them to caregivers and then make the match and get you with some children as soon as possible.
So if someone opens with you as a caregiver, you don't have to go and find your own families, your own clients. You're going to do that for the person?
That's right. So we go to our wait list. If you have an infant space, I'll look at how many infants I have, and then call them, get them in to do the paperwork, and through talking with them, find out the hours of care they need. Do they need a pet-free home maybe, or just all the little extras that they need to give me so that I can match them up with the best option for them. And then they do get to make an appointment to meet with the caregiver, get to see their space. We encourage them to take their children with so they can kind of see how they interact and stuff like that. And then once they've found a match, they let us know, and then that space is now taken. And then we get all the paperwork to the care provider so that they're ready to start when they need care.
So you said it's a Petawawa area and
Deep River and Chalk River.
And Deep River and Chalk River. So that's where the caregivers. So if you live in one of those areas and you're interested in opening, talk to Angie. It takes a very special person to invest in children and to be with children all day. And one of the things you talked about is the network. And I think it's so important because so often when you're during the day, you're with the kids, but being part of this network gives you an opportunity as well to connect with other people who are doing the same job and maybe share ideas and share feedback. And so do you have meetings with the caregivers where they have a chance to get together and meet each other?
So we do once a month. We have a caregiver meeting, so we've been doing them via Zoom. There's also lots of PD opportunities, so professional development opportunities for the care providers. So we will talk to them and see kind of what the need is. So do they need, maybe they want some ideas on menu planning, maybe some different craft ideas, just really what they're interested in. And then we'll find someone to come in and speak to them, to help them out, give them some ideas. Sometimes they just like to talk amongst themselves to get ideas and just some tricks on what is working for one person. It really just depends, but we do try to touch base at least once a month. Given the situation that we've just reopened, there's more questions, so we might do it a little more than once a month, depending on the need of the providers, just so that they feel supported. And I may not have all the answers, but I definitely will seek them out. Because it is definitely a very there are a lot of questions now. So yes, definitely all the support that we can provide to them, toys, equipment, you know, anything that we can offer to them to make things a little bit easier for sure. And definitely, I think the support, because they know they can call or talk, just, you know, to talk through something or ask for advice, or, you know, if we need to get other services involved, we can also do that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Angie. There are a lot of people, it is coming to September, school is starting. Maybe people are thinking about childcare for the first time. Maybe they have been thinking about it for a while and they're not really sure where to go. We do still have wait lists, do we not, Sue? And how would someone get on one of those wait lists? How would somebody sort of find out the programs that are available, get on the wait list, and sort of get started in that process?
So families new to the area, well, all our families can go on CAF Connection. All our childcare programs are listed there with a description, talks a little bit about the service we provide. So families can either contact each childcare program individually. They can reach out to me and I can provide them all the wait list information and other information. And so can Information Services. So Information Services has our wait list application and can help support families with filling that out and directing them to the proper childcare program that would best meet their needs. The great thing about our waitlist application is all our children's services programs are on there, and families can actually go on to all of our wait lists because sometimes the need for care is great, and they have the opportunity to, you know, the first program that comes up, they can enroll in. But then if that's not meeting their needs, you know, their child has care, if it's not meeting their family needs, if they need later care, they can move programs to Private Home or Little Trooper South. So it's just one application form for all of our children's services programs.
Thank you. Claudia, you have an incredible team of childcare providers at the PMFRC. These are people who have an incredible dedication to the kids and their safety and their education. Is there anything you want to say about our team?
Well, let's be clear that they really work for Sue. And as I tell everybody, I know enough to be dangerous, but I am not the expert in the childcare world. And really, what is an educator? And I'll start out by sharing that who this includes. And obviously, the childcare team fearless leader is Sue. She oversees and manages all of the children's services team, and of which there are 9 individual programs. So each program has a supervisor, and then of course there's the early childhood educators, there's head educators, there's resource teachers, there's casual supply staff, and we also have a cook at Little Trooper South. And then we have our private home daycare providers, and we also have our educators in the Play Troop program who facilitate the early years programming. So that's quite a list. And Sue really spearheads all of that through the supervisor. So it is really a dynamic team. In all cases, you know, their passion is to support and teach and mold these little minds of the future. And it's so commendable in everything that they do. It's critical to recognize that the team is really a group of highly skilled, trusted educators who really have an authentic connection to the kids. They provide a safe environment for all of them to thrive. And I think they've gone above and beyond right now in the last month or so with the centers that are open, given all the changes that have happened. As we all know, we're in unprecedented times, and Sue and her team have worked really, really hard at staying connected with the families. Sue felt that that was critical. It's important for them to work hard at trying to fit the needs of the families enrolled in the programs, because they all have very different, unique needs. And I think Sue referenced that already. And on top of that, we're trying to manage all the guidelines and processes that we're required to have in place in order to run a safe daycare program. So we've all kind of accepted and acknowledged that this is our new normal or our new reality for now, and we're all adapting to the situations, and they're constantly changing. We have to continue to be open to that, and also open to the feedback from the families to keep telling us how we're doing. I'm so very proud and impressed with all of the educators in all of the programs, the home care providers, and although Play Troop is not open right now, that team has been working on videos and YouTube sessions and workshops. So The home care providers have been working really hard at trying to adapt all of those processes in a daycare into their individual homes. So it's just been amazing. As the executive director, I find it's really a humbling experience to be surrounded by so many dedicated staff, and they all want what's best for the families. And that really applies to the whole MFRC team. And I think we have all worked so hard the last couple of months to navigate the situation and to try and hear what the families would like to see and what we need to do to make sure staff remain safe and healthy in the work environment. So to all the educators, thank you. Your commitment and dedication is second to none. You've gone above and beyond. And same to all of the early on programming, which, you know, extends into our programming team as well. It's just been amazing. They've been great. I think the feedback from families, what we're hearing so far is positive. I know we have a ways to go still, but we're working on that and we're going to try and do the best we can.
Thank you. You talked about the various jobs, the various positions that are available in Children's Services. And if you are interested in joining the PMFRC Children's Services team, there are opportunities available. We do have a number of openings right now on the Children's Services team, and we are going to share a link below to a list of those positions. So if you have a background in childcare, if you're interested in childcare, check out those job descriptions. If you are looking at the job descriptions and you want more information, or if you want to talk about your background and see how it fits with those positions, we are having a job fair today. So between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock this afternoon, it's going to be happening on Zoom. We're going to be sharing a link. And it's going to be an opportunity to speak one-on-one with, I believe, Angie about the various jobs. And it's an opportunity to ask questions. So if you're interested in finding out more about Children's Services, about those positions, you can check them out in the link below, but you can also join that Zoom conference and ask questions directly. We would love to talk to you, and those are positions that are available. So if that's something you're interested in, it is an incredible team. If you look through the Facebook links, you can sort of see all the things that are happening in our Children's Services programs, and they are doing stuff with paint. They're doing stuff outside. They are brave folks, and those kids look like they're having so much fun. So a lot of admiration for the team, people on that team. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Next week, we are going to be back, and we are going to be talking about second language programs. Whether you're interested in learning English or learning French, we have a number of options that are opening up in the fall. So we want to tell you about those, see what's available. In the meantime, thank you all so much for joining us. If you need us, reach out to the PMFRC. Like Claudia said, that Northside office is open, so 613-687-1641. And check out our website, cafconnection.ca. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week.